Aside from the transport distancing rules, there are no final guidelines yet on COVID-19 antigen testing for borders and travel from the health department. And this follows the warning of global health experts. Let's take a closer look at antigen testing with LabX founder Thomas Navasero. And he joins us tonight on The Final Word. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. So why is the World Health Organization questioning the accuracy and the sensitivity of these antigen tests?
Good evening, Rico. Well, first of all, the interim guidelines of the WHO is not questioning, but it's providing guidelines to all the governments to better understand how to use and which antigen tests to use. The key thing here, Rico, is they're highlighting that a higher sensitivity and specificity is required when using antigen testing.
And at the moment, it seems like the market is being flooded by so many of these antigen tests. Why haven't they just narrowed it down that these specific antigen tests can be used, particularly for domestic travel or for traveling across borders?
That's a very good point, Rico. There is a flood of antigen tests in the market as we speak. There's over 100 antigen tests in the market, and WHO did highlight in their interim guidelines that there's only 4 that were passed by probably the most stringent regulatory body on earth, which is the US FDA. And out of those 100, our own Philippine FDA under Secretary Yusek Domingo is 14 were passed here in the Philippines.
And let's listen in now to Department of Health Undersecretary Rosario Vergere. And she issued a statement earlier this week, Tom, on the antigen test. Let's listen in to what she had to say. All right, we don't have that statement from Yusek Vergere. But tell us, Tom, what is the current decision right now of the Interagency Task Force? What have they said so far?
Well, I do remember what Yusek Rosette mentioned in that interview. And she said that the guidelines of the WHO may or may not allow airport testing or domestic airport testing for travelers. But she pointed out that there were conditions in the interim guidelines of WHO to allow testing. And let's focus on those 2 conditions. 1, sensitivity and specificity. And second, prevalence. What I mean about prevalence is that we can use a very accurate antigen test in a prevalent-based community, or like in the Philippines, given that we have over 3,000 cases per day in the last week. And the IATF will probably have to amend their ruling to at least maybe bring up their so-called numbers from 80% sensitivity to something more like a number of 96 or 97%, where there's no more than 1 to 3 false negatives and 0 false positives.
And Tom, the IATF on September 7 allowed the use of antigen tests instead of the RT-PCR as a pre-boarding requirement for asymptomatic local tourists. What is the current status of this?
Well, specifically the health to come up with an amendment to either strengthen or amend this specific ruling.
And Tom, tell us, I mean, we have come across several tests, kind of COVID-19 tests over the past 6 months since we've had this lockdown. We've had the rapid antibodies, the rapid antigen, and of course, the gold standard, which is the RT-PCR. And as technology evolves, in your view, will there be another COVID-19 rapid test that will be more accurate than all of these tests combined?
Well, I really hope there diagnosis of the virus is our nucleic acid amplification test, which is PCR, and the antigen test. But Rico, I hope in the next coming months, we can empower our patients, we can empower our Filipinos by making a very accurate, a fast and affordable self-test kit. If we can test ourselves on a regular basis, we can monitor our health on our own to ensure that we also protect our neighbors. So that's what I hope. A more specific, more sensitive test to open our economy is what we need, and I hope that comes soon.
And more sensitive tests is needed, particularly if we continue to open various cities and provinces, just like what the Department of Tourism just announced today, that they will be opening borders between particular provinces and cities called travel bubbles. So we need more accurate tests that will come up with results sooner rather than later.
That's very correct, Rico. You're on the spot there. Speed, and speed. Sensitivity, specificity are key to a good test and a solution to this pandemic.
Thank you so much for your insights, Thomas Navasero, the founder of LabX.